Hello and welcome back to PSN News. I'm Danielle Dempsey. With me tonight is the president of the Sign Language Organization, Margalit Roitman. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. So can you tell me, what is the Sign Language Organization?
The Sign Language Organization is a group on campus, and we're dedicated to learning American Sign Language. All levels are welcome, and spreading awareness of deaf culture and that there is like a present signing community on campus. So we're just a place where people can learn and grow and sign together at Penn State.
Nice, that's amazing. And how many students are involved with SLO?
So it used to be a smaller club. I would say last year we only had like 15, 20 students regularly coming to our meetings, and we've grown a lot this year specifically. And now I would say there's maybe between 30 and 50 students coming to each meeting. Yeah,
that's great to see so much growth over the year.
It's amazing.
That's awesome. So what does a typical meeting look like for you all?
Yeah, so we start with any updates that's going on. We have a lot of outreach programs within Sign Language Organization. So anything that's going on, any events we're having that week. And then we typically move into a deaf culture lesson. And a lot of people don't know that ASL is really the language of deaf culture. And so it's really important to us that we have that cultural competency and just learn about different things. The majority of the club are hearing individuals. So it's important that we learn about deaf culture and learn the reason why we're learning sign language. And then after that, we'll go into a vocabulary lesson and learn some new vocab, some grammar structure. And then we usually go into an activity. Our activity in the past meeting was learning the signs for a song. So we did We Don't Talk About Bruno. We translated that into ASL. So we usually try to do something fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So educational, but also like really enjoyable for the members. You mentioned that you guys hold other events besides your meetings. What do some of those events look like?
Yeah, so every week we have our meetings, and then usually every week we have a social of some sort. So that's typically a silent coffee, which is usually at the hub, the big steps, where we just go out and sign with each other and practice. You can grab coffee, you can grab food, and we just gather all different levels. Sometimes we have some deaf community members joining us. And we just sign and get to know each other and hang out. We'll do semesterly formals. We marched in the homecoming parade.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. We perform in Thon. So a lot of other things. And then we do outreach. So we go out into the community and work with, there's one musical theater group made up of individuals with Down syndrome, and we teach them a song in sign language.
Cool.
We're involved in the local high school, so there's a lot of different things going on.
That is incredible. So many different events going on as a group. But what are your specific responsibilities as president of the club?
Yeah. So a big part of my responsibilities are making the slides for each meeting, like organizing the meetings, deciding what we're going to do, delegating if we want someone specific on the executive board to teach like the deaf culture or teach the vocabulary, coming up with different topics, and then leading the meetings for the most part. We split it up and we have different members teaching things, but facilitating the meetings is part of my responsibility, and then communicating with faculty, the ASL professors here, communicating if we need help with anything, what's going on. And then I'm also just a member too, so I'm very often at silent coffee, silent events, anything that's going on, I'm usually there too.
That's amazing. So you do a lot with SLO, and so this is going to be a difficult question, but if you had to choose, what is your favorite memory?
That is a really difficult question, and I think we do a lot of big events like marching in homecoming and performing in Thon, but I have one like little memory that really sticks out, and that was when I was a freshman. I didn't know any sign language before joining Sign Language Organization here at Penn State, and I went to a silent coffee and I was terrified, but the president at the time and a couple other of the people that were there helped me, and I actually like was able to communicate something. I think they asked me what I was doing for spring break, and I told them, I was able to tell them that I'm visiting my sister at college, and I just felt so proud of myself that I was able to sign a sentence with words I had learned in the Sign Language Organization.
That is incredible. From being a freshman, coming into the school, not knowing sign language, and then being the president by your junior year, correct?
Yeah, so last year was my first year as president, and now I'm a senior, I'm president again.
That's incredible. So what made you interested in sign language in the first place?
Yeah. So I was exposed to sign language in first grade, I think. My teacher his wife was a teacher of the deaf, and so he would just teach us like the alphabet, the sign for like if you have to go to the bathroom. And ever since I saw that, I was like, I will learn ASL at some point in the future. And I didn't get the chance to until coming to Penn State. And so I joined sign language organization before I took any ASL classes, and it was my first way of learning. So learning ASL is something I always wanted to do, and I'm glad that Penn State has, this organization and the classes and the avenues that I've been able to do it.
Absolutely, such a great opportunity. And so how can other students who, like you, are interested in sign language join SLO?
Yeah. So we are a very open club. We're very chill. Whenever you feel like coming to our meetings or our events, we're happy to have you. There's nothing binding. You don't have to come every single week. So we come to any of our meetings, any of our events, anything that's going on. We'd love to see anybody who's passionate about learning sign language. I love when people come who've never signed at all and they just jump right in. It's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. And my last question is, how can Penn State students who aren't involved with SLO but want to help advocate for the deaf community and just make Penn State more inclusive overall, what can they do to help? Yeah,
so I actually asked my friend who's deaf a very similar question about like us as hearing allies, like what can we do to make Penn State more inclusive? And I think just the openness and willingness to learn and find different ways to communicate. You can communicate with deaf individuals even if you don't know sign language. Never be scared to communicate with someone who maybe has a different communication style. And then just if there's any opportunity to advocate, if there's issues with interpreters or captioning devices, making sure you're sticking up for the people who are using those resources, and just being open to being an ally. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking about SLO and all of the great work you guys are doing.
Thank you so much for having me. I really love it here. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. Up next, Carlos and Morgan will bring you the latest news from across the nation. Stay tuned.